Morning Hi-Crest fam, my name is Andrea and I'm going to be bringing you this morning's devotional. So we're going to be in 1 Peter chapter 2 verses 13 through 17. And it says, "For the Lord's sake, submit to all human authority, whether the king as head of state or the officials he has appointed. For the king has sent them to punish those who do wrong and to honor those who do right. It is God's will that your honorable lives should silence those ignorant people who make foolish accusations against you. For you are free, yet you are God's slaves. So don't use our freedoms as an excuse to do evil. Respect everyone and love the family of believers. Fear God and respect the king." Okay, so initially, when I first read this, there were three things that kind of stuck out to me that I thought God was saying. First, we need to submit to authority, which I'm not a fan of. Two, that we're free. And then third, that we need to use our freedom to live in a certain way. And so how do I make sense of this, right? How am I free but also a slave to God? And if I'm free, why do I have to submit to authority? And so I think it's really important to know that this passage specifically, God is speaking to believers. And so if we actually read up in verse 9, it says, "You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's very own possession." Right? And so he is telling us that because we are believers, we have a hope and a freedom in the world that other people don't have. And so because we believe he is who he says he is, we are free. And so if you are in love with God and in awe of who he is, right, you have a freedom that other people don't have. And so because I have such a love and a reverence for God, I will naturally want to obey his commands. And so as Christians, we read the Bible because God is in it, because it helps us to understand how to live for God. And so I think it's important to note that even though we are set apart as believers, we are still called to be engaged in this world. So now that I understand why I'm free, what a gift it is, and then I understand the reason that I need to use my freedom to live in a certain way because I want to glorify God while I'm here on earth. So now I need to unpack this whole submission and authority thing, right? Why does it matter to God? So as I'm sure you've gathered by now, submission and authority are not strong suits of mine, but I know that God cares about what happens to his people while they're here on earth. And I know that means I need to be participating in human institutions. And that includes being respectful and submitting to the authority of those people that are in positions of power. But why does it matter to God? So I think really the answer that we get is in the first four words of this passage. They totally give us our why. It says, "For the Lord's sake." We submit to human authority out of love and reverence for the Lord, right? For the Lord's sake, submit to all human authority. And so I think it's important to note Peter is not saying that we need to blindly support and agree with every human in authority, right? We first and always look to God. We ask him about the humans in authority, but ultimately the reason that we submit is out of obedience to the Lord. The Lord's ways are always better than our ways. And so I know that God sent us to be a part of both the world and his kingdom, but he's also the ruler of both. And so I think we can take a lot of rest in the fact that the God we serve is the ruler over all things. So anyway, those are just a few of the thoughts that I had after reading this passage. I hope you guys have a blessed week.